Ever tried using auto layout and failed so badly that you're now scared to touch it again? Trust me, you're not alone. I've seen incredibly good designers avoid auto layout for years because it felt unpredictable, fragile, and almost cursed. But today, we're fixing that. You're watching Design OS, and this is Everything Figma, Episode 2, Mastering Auto Layout. Before we touch auto layout in Figma, we need to understand why it exists in the first place. Because once you understand the why, everything else sort of starts to feel a lot more logical. Auto layout didn't appear randomly, it comes from something developers have relied on for years. It's called Flexbox. Flexbox is a layout system in CSS. It was created to solve one big problem: layouts breaking when content or screen sizes change. Instead of hard-coding positions, Flexbox lets your layout respond. Here are the only ideas you need to understand about Flexbox which will help you in auto layout. 1. You decide whether an item flows in a row or in a column. Number 2 is padding. Padding is the breathing room that all the elements inside of a Flexbox get. Next up at number 3 is gap. You can define a value to a gap, and that is the amount of distance between two items in your Flexbox. Number 4 is wrap. When space runs out, items can wrap and move to the next line. Number 5 is alignment. You can align items along both axes, left, center, right, space in between, and a bunch of other options. Finally, at number 6 is flexible sizing. Some items can stretch, some can stay fixed, and the layout still holds together. If Flexbox makes sense even a little bit, auto layout is about to feel much easier. Let's now jump into Figma. You can follow along with this video using the community file linked in the description. This file takes up a lot of inspiration from the original Figma community auto layout playground, so do check that one out as well. Select anything on the canvas, a frame, multiple layers, or a component, and press Shift+A. For this video, I'll create an auto layout frame using these 5 rectangles. And that's it, you've added auto layout. And if you ever want to undo it, you're not trapped. Press Option or Alt on Windows plus Shift+A to remove the auto layout. Now, what if you have already designed something manually? You can let Figma guess the structure for you. In this example, I have 3 cards. In the first one, there is no auto layout applied. All layers are sitting freely inside the frame. In the second card, everything looks the same, but this time let's apply auto layout using Shift+A. And as you can see, the layout breaks. Now in the third card, let's apply suggested auto layout. Select the layout and press Ctrl plus Shift+A on Mac or Ctrl plus Alt plus Shift+A on Windows. And by the way, if these shortcuts feel hard to remember, you can always right click your selection and choose the auto layout option from there. In this case, we want Suggest Auto Layout. Notice what happens. All the layers stay exactly where they were visually, but if you look at the layers panel, Figma has not only applied auto layout to the outer frame, it has also created multiple nested auto layout frames inside it. Figma also marks each suggested auto layout frame with this blue dot. This is incredibly useful for learning because you can inspect what Figma created for you. Just keep in mind the results aren't always perfect, so use this as a learning tool, not as something you use on a daily basis. Auto layout frames flow in one direction, horizontal, vertical, and they can also wrap when your layout runs out of horizontal space. They also have a grid version, but that is in beta, so we'll look at that once it's out of beta because Figma likes to change things quite a lot before releasing the public version of the software. Let's see how all of these behave one by one. If I select a group of vertically stacked layers and apply auto layout, Figma applies a vertical auto layout. If I select layers placed next to each other horizontally and apply auto layout, Figma applies a horizontal auto layout. Now, if I enable wrap on a horizontal auto layout and resize the width of the frame, you'll see that the height increases automatically and the items that no longer fit move down to the next row. Now, let's understand the controls inside of an auto layout container. First, spacing. Spacing is the distance between all your layers inside your auto layout frame. You can adjust it by typing a value in the right panel, or you can drag the handle directly on the canvas. Dragging is great for exploration, but for precision, typing values is always more reliable. Padding. You'll see these two field sets by default, one for left and right padding, the other one for top and bottom padding. Changing left and right padding affects the x-axis, changing the top and bottom padding affects the y-axis. Notice how padding affects different types of layers differently. We'll come back to why that happens, because that's where auto layout really starts to shine. You can also switch to individual paddings, which splits these fields into 4 values: top, bottom, left, and right. Try this yourself, it will really help you understand the workings of auto layout. Finally, alignment. To understand alignment properly, I'll increase the size of the container. Now, as I change alignment options, you can clearly see how layers align both on the X and the Y axis. This should feel very familiar from the Flexbox example from earlier. A fun shortcut here: click the alignment widget and use the arrow keys or the WASD keys like you're playing a game to do the alignment differently. The same alignment concepts apply to horizontal layouts as well. Feel free to try that out in the community file. One last alignment feature is space between. Watch what happens when I resize this frame. The layers stay aligned to the top. Now remember this behavior. You can now select the auto layout frame and double click the alignment widget. This toggles to space between. You can toggle it back the same way by pressing X. Once space between is enabled, the spacing value changes to auto. Now, when I resize the container, the space between layers adjusts automatically to fill the available space. Again, very similar to the Flexbox example. This is the heart of auto layout, and also the options that drive most designers away from it. So let's slow down and make this simple. We'll use the same card from the suggest auto layout example from before. First, notice this. When I resize the card, everything responds nicely. This is the ideal auto layout state, a responsive layout. Now, let's explore fixed width. Fixed width does exactly what it says. Whatever value you set, that's the width, period. Let's set the album art placeholder to fixed width and resize the card. Notice how that layer stayed the exact same size, that's fixed width. Next, fill container. Fill container means the child takes up all available space inside its parent. Let's switch the album art back to fill container and resize the card again. You'll notice it doesn't fill the entire width, and that's because the card has 26 pixels of padding on the left and the right, but it reacts to the rest of the card being resized. So fill container respects padding but increases the size if you increase the overall frame size. Finally, hug contents. This option is only available when an auto layout frame lives inside another auto layout frame. If you remove auto layout or turn it into a group, this option disappears. Hug contents means the frame sizes itself to the combined size of its children. So here the width is 200 pixels for the text, 24 pixels for the icon, and 157 pixels for the spacing. If I add more padding, the overall width increases as well. This would not happen if this was a fill container frame. Everything we discuss here works the same way in horizontal layouts too. You'll be working more with height instead of width. Finally, there are times when you want almost everything inside an auto layout frame, but there's that one element that needs to break the rules a little bit. That's where absolute positioning comes in. Let's create an auto layout frame using Shift plus A. Notice that Figma has already enabled absolute positioning for the album art placeholder. Now I can freely adjust the layout while keeping the rest of my frame responsive. This is perfect for things like badges, overlays, notifications, and other decorative elements. There are some cool settings within auto layout that are hidden but become extremely powerful. Let's run through all of them quickly. You can turn on truncate text for any text layer inside an auto layout frame. This will add ellipses at the end of your text if your text starts to get out of the auto layout frame. If you have negative spacing between items, you can actually decide which one stays on top, the first or the last. Do this by hitting the settings icon with the parent auto layout frame selected. You can also decide to have your borders included inside the auto layout frame. This is very similar to the way CSS works, and you can talk to your developers if they see this as a better way of handoff. You can turn this on again by going to the settings icon. Auto layout isn't really magic, it's just rules, and once you understand those rules, your layout will stop breaking and start working with you. If auto layout finally clicked today, hit like so this reaches more designers. Share it with that one teammate who is still scared of auto layout, and subscribe to Design OS because in episode 3, we'll discuss all about responsive layouts and how to make them.